What's up, everybody? Today we've got an awesome story about a wife that wanted an open relationship, but now regrets it. Hello all. Never once did I think I would get to this point, to the point of reaching out to strangers on the internet for guidance. But here we are. My wife and I have been together for 10 years, but married for 8. We met in college and were each other's firsts and only. I honestly thought we had a unique and beautiful relationship because of that. But it appears that was just me. Some time ago, my wife began working at a new company. At first, she found it difficult to fit in because she's always been reserved, but after encouragement from me, she made friends with a group of girls, some of whom were single, divorced, or dating, but not married. At first, I was happy she made friends, but then she started going out for drinks, partying, or some other thing her friends had planned. I became concerned by her change in behavior and tried to talk to her about it, but at the same time, didn't want to restrict her in any way. It started to affect our relationship in the bedroom. My wife wasn't one to initiate intimacy, but with her continued going out, she was either too tired or wasn't in the mood. At some point, her company got a new manager whom my wife and her friends had taken a shining to. She began mentioning him in passing, but it got to a point where she was pointing out how he handled certain problems that didn't seem to be work-related. I questioned her on her fascination with this man, and she brushed off my concerns. She even started asking if I regretted not having more experience with women, to which I said no, because she is all I ever needed. I swore I thought for a moment I saw a flash of sadness in her eyes, but she quickly changed the subject. She started mentioning open marriages as a way to spice up our marriage. I was taken aback because my wife has never been this kind of person, and not that liberal sexually, to be honest. I at first refused and questioned if this had anything to do with the new manager, to which she denied but said she felt like she missed out, but at the same time didn't want to lose me, so this was a safer option. I wondered if she was playing with fire, then reluctantly and naively agreed. So we set some rules, mainly not to sleep with another person in our home. For a year, my wife goes on dates, has one-night stands, then, as if I didn't see it coming, somehow ends up in a relationship with that manager. I, on the other hand, had a few dates, but no one-night stands because it frequently felt wrong to me. My wife would ask if I was fine, but really wouldn't change her behavior. At some point, I felt the love I had for her, that pure, special innocence of marriage, was gone, and it was killing me inside. I ended up going on a date with an amazing woman who migrated over from South Korea. Conversation was effortless. She had the wit of a lightning-fast whip crack and a smile that would make one forget himself. This, of course, led to more dates until we were intimate. I honestly never had sex like I had with this woman. I never knew a woman could be so giving and make one feel so desirable. At first, my wife thought it was cute, but as the months went by, she began questioning my relationship with my lover. I promptly pointed out that this was her idea, and that she was in a relationship with the manager I was concerned about. She was silent. She looked like she wanted to say something, but held her tongue. She began coming home early to surprise me with dinner and get the house extra clean. She also started coming to my workplace to drop off lunch and began to initiate intimacy in the bedroom. Honestly, if it wasn't for her opening up our marriage, which I am also to blame for agreeing to, all this would have had me jumping for joy. I barely gave in to her attempts at intimacy, and when I did, it was simply to get it over with. Something in me toward my wife died, and I could see she felt it too. I asked what brought on this change in her. What was different? The response I got was that she wants to show me that she loves me and is happy with me. I never intended to, but I burst out laughing. I asked, what about her little group of friends, her manager lover, or her one-night stands? She didn't respond that day and simply went to bed in tears. The next day I get home to find her waiting for me. She told me she wants to close our marriage. This whole experience was a horrible mistake, that she regrets everything and wants us to be the focus of our relationship again. I told her to be honest with me and tell me what inspired all this in the first place. And wouldn't you know it, it was her group of friends that planted the idea because of their numerous sexual exploits. And when her manager came around, he surprisingly supported that lifestyle and encouraged my wife to live free. Apparently, it developed into an emotional affair, but only got physical once the marriage opened. Wow, like that makes it better. She described it as being drunk behind the wheel of a speeding car. It was thrilling, intoxicating, but the price of the decision has become too much for her to bear. She sees now that she never needed a comparison, and that what we had was truly unique and special. but now she feels like she murdered our marriage and any chance of a life together. I told her I might not ever be able to see her as my wife again, and this made her break down in front of me. I simply held her in silence as she cried until she fell asleep in my arms on the couch. She has since left her job and cut off contact with all of her friends and her manager, and even told me she's willing to spend the rest of her life making it up to me and work her fingers to the bone to be seen as a wife by me. But I haven't cut contact with my lover. My lover, quite frankly, makes me feel like a man, like I can challenge the world, and my wife hasn't in a while. Truth is, I don't know what to do in this situation. I would love to get the special feeling back if possible, but my lover basically saved me when I was at my lowest. Please help me. Forgot to add, we have our first marriage counseling session in a couple of hours. Not sure how that will go. The therapist seemed nice and experienced. She appeared unbiased and actually eager to help. Even though it was our very first session, my wife took it as an opportunity to lay it all out. It seems she confessed that this group of friends made her wonder if she had missed her chance because she was committed to her first boyfriend and had no other experiences, that she never had the same adventures some of these supposedly amazing women had, some of whom are divorced, but none are married. The therapist pointed out that this can be, and often is, detrimental to a marriage due to the difference in mindset. My wife seemed to agree, then added that after the new manager started approaching her, some of these friends encouraged her to see where it goes, that this was a chance for her to explore or discover herself. She obviously felt guilty, so she says. So she never did anything physical until one of the divorced ones suggested an open marriage as a loophole and told her that some couples come out stronger because of it. So after, regrettably again, so she says, convincing me to open up the marriage, her so-called adventure began. It was intoxicating and blinding, but lacked real substance, not like the kind we built over the years. And she started to question her reasons for doing this. She said she could see the hurt in my eyes, but told herself, this is just an experience. She said she'll never forgive herself for this, her chance to have an amazing experience. So the gravity of it all never really hit her until she noticed the change in me. At first, she assumed that because I went on dates, I would gradually accept her situation and be okay with it. But that all changed when my lover became a constant presence in my adventure. Apparently, I started to smile again for no reason. My eyes would light up when I got a text message, or when I cheerfully left the room to answer a call. She said she suddenly felt a pit in her stomach and started to get many panic attacks for no reason. She went to her friends for advice again, but they said it was a normal reaction for me to have during the adventure. But when the same divorced one who suggested this in the first place said, it looks like his lover makes him happy, that's when the reality of it all finally dawned on her. The very real possibility that another woman, not his wife, gave him joy, almost made her pass out. She realized how ridiculous this all was and begged them to help her win me back. But they just told her, if you couldn't deal with it, why'd you open your marriage in the first place? She knew then and there that these people were toxic and a threat to our marriage and the life we've built. Hence, she's been on a mission to win me back by any means necessary. I, on the other hand, didn't share much. But I did let the counselor know about the situation on my side, with my lover still in the picture. To which the counselor said no resolution could ever be reached with my lover still involved, and suggested we book another appointment after tomorrow. The counselor said it was unusual for someone to stay with their first this long, and gave the impression that any storm can be weathered. I highly suspect she wants us to be one of her success stories. Update 2. Still haven't figured out how to link posts, and a very warm thank you to everyone who has reached out. I apologize for not being able to reply to each and every one of you, inbox or post. Anyway, here's the update so far. I've since moved into an apartment owned by my brother for a ridiculously cheap price. He owns properties and would have let me stay for free, but I refused. That's just a little of what I've uncovered about my wife's behavior and some unsettling things about her manager. During our second counseling session, I asked some of the questions Redditors had suggested. First, was she sure nothing physical happened before the marriage opened? She looked toward the ground and begged me not to make her say it. She said if she said it, it would destroy us. But after some pushing, she shared that while it wasn't sex, they had touched themselves in front of each other. This douchebag convinced her that since it wasn't technically intercourse, it wasn't cheating. They were simply enjoying each other's full beauty. I was absolutely floored. She started shaking and hyperventilating. Snot even began flowing from her nostrils as she cried and apologized. Even the counselor was taken aback. My wife got on her knees, hugging my legs, sobbing how sorry she was. Second, I asked her what really changed her view of him. She said after she started pulling back from the group, his behavior shifted. Then one evening, leaving a meeting, she passed his office and heard him talking to a male colleague. He said he was surprised how easy it was to get her, that she was living proof you can't trust the quiet ones. When the colleague asked if he actually fancied her, he said she was a pleasant distraction, but he had no intention of breaking up with his fiancée. He even added, "This was just to get it out of my system. The only woman who understands me is my fiancée." He also mentioned how he felt bad for me. But you snooze, you lose. My wife said, realizing she was just a piece of meat to him, and that she betrayed me for a cheap thrill, made her suicidal. She left work that day and vomited in the parking lot. Her first thoughts were, "What have I done?" And, "My name, please forgive me. I'm so sorry." Third, I asked if she loved him, and when she stopped loving me. She looked me dead in the eye through tears and said she never stopped loving me, which honestly makes it worse. He was just something different. She thought it was love, but now realizes how foolish she was. She grabbed my arm with surprising strength and said she knows she messed up, but she misses us, what we had. She even suggested we move away and start over somewhere, just the two of us. I told her that wouldn't be fair to my lover, and that I need time away to process everything. She broke down, sobbing harder, clinging to me like I was disappearing. It took both me and the counselor a while to calm her down. The counselor eventually convinced her that time apart might help us heal. But it didn't end there. When we got home, I started packing. My wife got a video call on her laptop from one of her former friends. She was in tears. Turns out, after my wife resigned, she and the manager began a fling of their own. But apparently she had a pregnancy scare. That triggered the manager to completely flip out. What's worse, she had a boyfriend she truly loved, and the only reason she had the fling was out of curiosity. Sound familiar? Her boyfriend found out when he saw an email about the pregnancy scare. The manager accused her of trying to baby trap him. He left her. Now she was calling my wife, assuming somehow my wife saved her marriage, desperately asking for advice. I just walked out and haven't been back since. Update 3. More things have happened, both with my wife and with myself. The former friend was indeed pregnant, but the stress of the affair, being dumped and humiliated, made her miscarry. She completely lost it and went scorched earth. She exposed the manager to upper management and his fiancée. I got curious and looked up his fiancée on Facebook. She's the total opposite of who he slept around with. Sweet, family-oriented, special needs teacher. My first thought, what the hell was he doing cheating on her with all these women? Why do men like him end up with women like her? One of life's mysteries, I guess. The ex-friend contacted me for my version of events. She was collecting evidence. I agreed to meet. From the moment I saw her, I knew she was broken. Her face was pale, eyes dark from sleeplessness, and she immediately apologized for her role in my wife's spiral. She didn't shift blame, said she just wanted to take responsibility. I asked her why. She said losing the baby and the man she loved changed her at the core. She can't look in the mirror without hating what she sees. She accepted that she may get fired too, but believes she deserves it. She left after collecting my story. I thanked her for facing it head on. I went back to the old house to pick up a few things. My wife was there. She had our wedding photos laid out across the table. She was crying, tried to hug me. I gently moved her away, tried to offer me lunch. I declined. She showed me a new message from the manager, from a new number. She had blocked the old one. He was furious that she and the ex-friend exposed him. She told me she got the idea from Chump Lady and Marriage Builders to kill the power of the secret and give us a fighting chance. I told her I respected the courage, but it didn't change anything. I also told her I'd be stopping marriage counseling and switching to individual therapy instead. She nodded, crying softly. I felt nothing. Not anger, not pity, just numb. And that's not normal, which is why I need to focus on myself. My brother also recommended a divorce lawyer. I met with one. Right now, I'm not willing to fight for the marriage, and she senses it. Before I left, she tried to initiate sex. I refused. She snapped, "What does your lover give you that I can't? What does she do that I don't?" She screamed loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "Whatever it is, I'll do it. Just tell me." I looked her in the eye and said, "If you still don't know after all this, then you never will." Then I walked out. Final update. It's been a few months since everything exploded. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks ago. It was oddly quiet. No courtroom drama, no fighting over property, no screaming. Just two people, once in love, sitting across a table, signing away the last legal connection between them. She cried the whole time. I didn't. I think I ran out of tears long before that. She offered everything, the house, the car, the savings, begged to stay married even in name only. Said she'd give up everything and everyone, just for a chance to prove she's still worthy. But I was done. Her regret came far too late. Her realization, though genuine, came after she'd already buried the version of me that once loved her. What she really mourned was not me, but the life she killed with her own hands. And no amount of apologies could bring that back. As for my lover, we're still in touch. Things between us slowed down naturally. She knew I was in pain, that I wasn't ready to jump into something serious. There was no pressure. She gave me space, yet made it clear she was there if I needed her. Truth is, she helped me survive the worst time of my life. I'm grateful to her in a way that words don't quite express, but I've also realized something important. I need time alone, truly alone, to figure out who I am without my ex-wife, and without being anyone's emotional project. I told her that, and she understood. No drama, no guilt tripping, just kindness. My ex-wife, she moved in with her sister in another city. She sent one last letter. It wasn't begging or angry or manipulative. It just said, "I hope someday you can forgive me. Not for my sake, but for yours, so that what I did to you doesn't have to weigh on your heart forever." I haven't replied. Maybe I never will. Maybe healing doesn't need a closing conversation. Maybe walking away is the closure. Final thoughts. Opening the marriage was a symptom. The disease was deeper. Insecurity, fantasy, toxic influence, and a need for validation that outweighed commitment. She thought she was missing out. She didn't realize what she had, until it was no longer hers to hold. And me? I've learned the hard way that love without boundaries becomes self-destruction. That trust, once shattered, may heal. But it never looks the same. So I'm rebuilding. Quietly, slowly, but truly. Not for revenge, not to win, just to live in peace. Off Reddit, and finally, off that roller coaster.